following show contains adult content. It's not our intent to offend anyone, but we want to inform you that if you are a child under the age of 18 or get offended easily, this next show may not be for you. The content, opinions, and subject matter of these shows are solely the choice of your show hosts and their guests, and not those of the Entertainment Network or any affiliated stations. Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
Hey everyone, and welcome to 50 Shades of Bullshit. I'm your host, Christine Lalonde, and this is the podcast where we uncover the truth about online dating. Now let's begin. Hey everyone, I'm Christine.
I'm Jada.
And this is 50 Shades of Bullshit. Hello.
Hi. Do you miss me? Did you miss me?
I missed you. I missed you. We're happy you're back.
Yes, thank
So,
you.
Jamie, you did great.
Oh, he's so cute.
Good. Oh, I know. Yeah.
He sent me a very lovely message to make sure all was well. So he's such a little pumpkin. I haven't had a chance to listen to the show yet, but I'm sure it was amazing.
He did really good.
Yeah.
He wants to come on the show as a guest, so we'll figure that out.
It. Mm-hmm. Do you know what? Because I am in his program, I don't know that we want to make the show all about like weight loss and the journey, but because I've gone through the menopause journey and I'm doing his program, maybe I can talk about it.
Yeah, we can do that.
Might be kind of boring though. I don't know that that's what our listeners want to hear, but you know.
Yeah, he gave a couple of ideas. We'll look at them and see what you think. So we have a new album cover. Did you see that?
I did. I saw that.
We don't have the flaming heart anymore. Which is fine. I thought, we had talked about making some changes and updating it, making it more modern. So we have our pictures on it. Now we just need to change the recording to update it, because we're not just about online dating anymore. Obviously, we're well past that. We have really hit our stride, I think.
Yeah, I would agree.
We are. This November will has it already been 3 years and we're heading into our 4th year? Oh, good Lord. I
think this will only be my 2nd year. So you had done it, I think, a year prior to me coming on. So yeah.
Actually, almost 2 years before you came on.
Okay. So yeah.
Because it was no. I think it was a year right after you joined. So we're about to finish 3 years and heading into our 4th year, and I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
Do something to celebrate, just so that the listeners know. You and I have talked about. I'm giving some insider information, but we've talked about our anniversary celebration and where it could be, and maybe me coming to LA. Maybe we do a live show. We've kicked around so many different ideas. So I would love to hear what people think we should do for the anniversary.
Yeah, that'll be in November. I think like the 2nd week in November.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very exciting. How's your week been?
You know what? It has been so busy. I'm taking tomorrow off and Monday because it's my birthday. Woo! My birthday's on Monday. So
your birthday's on Monday?
My birthday's Labor Day, boo.
No way. Oh my God. So
I tried to cram all of 5 days work of things into 4 days. So it's been really busy, but thank you. But I'm like ready for some time off. So
Country Corners Gazette said happy birthday to Jada. You're September 2nd. I love that. I like female Virgos.
I hope so, because I am one.
I get along really well with female Virgos. Not so much with male Virgos.
Virgos, no offense to anyone, but we are just the best sign. We are so meticulous. We're definitely a handful, but we're the party. We're a good time. And we're very honest.
You are. My ex-husband, not so much.
He was male Virgo, though.
It was a male Virgo for sure.
Oh Tell me, God. How was your week? Did you do the Tuesday manifestation that we talked about?
It's this next week on your birthday.
You told Tuesday. Me it was this Tuesday. Last Tuesday. Oh my God, Christine.
The waning crescent moon is. Hold on, I got it on my calendar. The waning crescent moon for manifesting big money is Wednesday, the 4th of September. Yeah, I thought it was this week, but it isn't. I've been getting everything ready.
Yeah,
it's a little bit of a journey to get ready for it.
That's a lot. Let's see. What are the updates with you? Business, movies, trailers, pies? What's happened? I feel like I haven't talked to you in forever, and I literally think I just talked to you a few days ago, but it seems forever.
Everything is going well. My life is, honestly super charmed now. I love that I did all these things to get myself where I am now. And even though we had a Mercury in retrograde and it could have been complete chaos because I'm vibrating different. I'm on a different timeline. Everything did its thing, but it just had a happy solution with everything. I don't know if I told you, but my car engine just completely went on my brand new car.
Yes. Yeah, we talked about that.
And that's something that would happen during Mercury retrograde. And I just had, every kind of coverage that could have covered did. Like I had it all covered, and it's crazy because it just worked out, because I constantly say every day, everything always works out for me.
Everything always works out. But you also did you do the shadow work, or what did you do? You did a lot of different things, and then it was the realignment, I think, that you touched on.
I did the healing with Thomas.
Yeah.
And after I did the healing with Thomas and he removed all the entities and all the BS, I then did the chakra alignment, and she did all the openings and just got me all together. And really the combo of those two together has just propelled me. And everything's been really amazing. So I do have funding for both of the documentaries. I have distribution for both of them.
Awesome.
I would show the sizzle reel here for the Nolan Miller project, but it is 6 minutes long. It is 6 minutes. I mean, it's pretty amazing. It really turned out. It goes really fast. That 6 minutes is fast. Maybe what I'll do is I'll show it next week, because next week it's just you and I.
Yeah, so we can start the show with that.
Yeah, so anybody who wants to see the sizzle, make sure you're here on time next week and we will show it. People who are listening only to the show, if you hear the sizzle and you want to see it, within 72 hours after we air the show, it will be on all the streaming networks. But then you can go to YouTube and pull up K4HD Radio, and you can see it. So, and also pull up 50 Shades of Bullshit.
So the guest today, I know today we're talking about shadow work. Is that very simple? Well, we'll get into it, but is that something that you worked on for the manifestation, or is this something completely different?
I did shadow work about 2 years ago.
Okay.
I had somebody that did shadow work with me. So I ever since I started the podcast, I've been doing, progressive work on
Oh,
myself. I've been using things that our guests have come on to tell
yeah.
us, what people need to do, and I've been implementing those things. So I've been, you know, doing that journey. I'm really excited to talk about shadow work today by somebody who does it, because I think it's really important, and it's really, I can't explain to people very well. So
Yeah.
she'll be able to.
Awesome. Okay.
And so we'll get into that. So let me talk about who we have on our show today, because healing your inner child, to be a healthy adult is very important. And if you don't
Mhm.
believe it is, I'm sure you can sit down and list a handful of things that you still have issues from that stem from your childhood. So
Yeah.
so let's do that. Shadow work is hard and uncomfortable work, but it can add value, and it adds good return for your effort. Joining us today is Whitney Kobrin. Whitney is a dating and relationship expert and love coach who has transformed the love lives of hundreds of women. Whitney blends decades of experience overcoming her own dating and relationship challenges with professional training in psychology, life coaching, and trauma therapy. Oh, she is my girl. Whitney has been featured on Amazon TV, Roku, MSN.com, and
Wow.
many other outlets, spreading her empowering message that modern dating is frustrating, but love is still worth it.
Yeah.
Drawing on her past experiences as a matchmaker, Whitney equips women with practical dating skills for today's complex world. Then she also takes clients deeper in the inner work needed to love yourself, heal damaging patterns, and attract the high caliber partner you truly deserve. So, Whitney's unique approach completely addresses the whole self: mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. And we are excited to welcome Whitney.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm excited to be
Hi.
here.
Yay! Welcome, Whitney, to the show.
Welcome.
It's a,
Welcome.
it's a ride, Whitney. Buckle up.
No, it's been fun. I've been listening to your episodes and really enjoying it.
Yay! Well, somebody who
Good.
enjoys it. Thank you. I'm so glad you're here. We don't know if someone likes it. I mean, it's tough.
Yeah.
We have no clue half the time. But here we are.
We are.
Spreading our no clueness all around.
Yes.
So, Whitney, tell us what shadow work is, why we need to do it, and why is it important? Oh, and Country Corner Gazette said they keep coming back, and we are motherfucking thrilled. Thank you. We are so happy about that. Okay, Whitney, what is shadow work, and why is it important?
All right. So first we can ask, what is the shadow, right? A lot of people hear about this. We joke about it. It's kind of become a part of our pop psychology vernacular to vocabulary, but a lot of people don't really know what it is. So it's the part of us that is made up of all the things that we hide from others: our shame, our fears, and our wounds, and things that are unacceptable in our society or our family or our culture. And it's not bad. It's not all bad. There are some things that, right, the shame, the fear, the wounds, it sounds scary, and we try to hide it because we find it uncomfortable. But it's really interesting that also in our shadow is our divine spirit, our blinding beauty, and our hidden talents. So there's all of the spectrum, from really awesome and positive to really not so great and painful, that exists within our shadow. And so it's so important for us to explore this shadow, because not only will it allow us to acknowledge some of our pain and wounds and heal those, but it will actually help us to tap into this full potential that we would never know otherwise, this creativity, this part of us that is kept hidden away.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, we're all cracking up because
Yeah.
Charles, one of our listeners, says, yes, this show is likable. And we appreciate that, Charles. Thank you. So Whitney, how do people address the things that are in our shadow?
So the first step is really awareness. And so I know when I'm doing shadow work, I have a list of questions that we go through to explore what might be in somebody's shadow. So that's really the first part, is just awareness, recognizing, because on the full spectrum of any quality like introversion, extroversion, we've all sort of attached to one side of that spectrum and decided that we are not the other side of the spectrum. And whenever we detach from something, like if I say, well, I'm an introvert, I'm not an extrovert, that extroverted side of me gets tucked away in the shadow and hidden. And it's still there. I could tap into it if I need to in a certain moment, because the reality is we're not just one thing. We change, we fluctuate. Even the most extroverted person will sometimes find themselves in an introverted moment in their life, right? So the first step is this awareness, and through the questioning method, we figure out what people are hiding. And then there's some practical exercises that people can do through meditations, through calming the mind and tapping more into the body and tapping more into our subconscious. There are tools that some people can use in their dreams, which is really fascinating. But
that is.
That's a whole other topic. But lucid dreams are when you become aware that you're in a dream when you're in a dream.
I
And
get that once in a while.
Me too.
yeah. So what do you do when you realize that you're dreaming?
I don't know. That's interesting.
I think for me, I can say what I do, because I think I wake up. Like, I think it scares me almost, if that makes any sense.
The
So
dream itself, or knowing that you're in a dream?
Knowing that I'm in a dream, I think it not scares me, but it, I don't know. I always end up waking up, and then I have to sit and think, like, what was that just happened? Did that really happen? This actually happened not too many nights ago, and I woke up, it was like 4:00 in the morning or like 3:30 in the morning. And I couldn't tell like what was reality, what was not, because I was so heavy invested realizing I was in the dream, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah. So you can train yourself to have more lucid dreams and to learn how to wake up in your dreams. And when you do that, our dreams are a direct portal into our subconscious. Whatever it is that we've repressed, that we're denying, that we're pretending about, that we've dissociated from, it comes up in our dreams. And so if you can get yourself to become lucid in a dream, you can actually explore your own subconscious. So most people, when they have a lucid dream, they either want to fly or just do crazy sexual things that they wouldn't normally do, because they're like, oh, it's a dream, I could get away with anything. That's like what everybody does, by the way. So if you've ever had a lucid dream and done that, you're not alone.
Funny.
But there's so much more potential with that, where you could actually call upon your ancestors. You can basically almost speak to God, because there is this, and all of this stuff, the shadow work, the inner child, your mask, your persona, almost all of this comes from Carl Jung and his research and methods and terminology. So it's amazing how much he has influenced our modern day psychology. And he did a lot of research on dreams and archetypes. And it's just amazing how, if you look up dream symbols, for example, online, you'll find that certain symbols are just universal. I remember I had playing cards in my dream once, and I looked up the symbolism and I was like, oh, wow, yeah, that's really interesting. So I started trying to train myself to lucid dream. And it took a while, but I finally had one. And like you said, Jada, when I finally realized, I go, oh, I'm dreaming. I got it. Show me something important. And I got so excited that like everything went black. And then I woke up.
Yeah.
It was like too much.
How
But
would one train them? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. You're fucking retarded today. Ridiculous today. I was just going to hold that thought. Mickey had said, so can we control our dreams? And basically what Whitney is saying is that, yes, once we realize that we're having lucid dreams, we can actually start to control it or observe it more.
We can't completely control it. And that's the really interesting part. We can observe it, but we have a little bit of control. They've actually used lucid dreams to treat PTSD. And people who have PTSD often have nightmares. And when they go through the training on how to lucid dream, not everybody is able to get there and do it. But of the people that were able to, 100% of them got rid of their nightmares. Because you just stand up to the big evil thing that's happening in your nightmare. And when you stand up to it in your dream, it dissipates.
What were you going to say, Jada?
I was going to say, how or what suggestions would you have to begin to train yourself to lucid dream? Are there mini exercises, or is it pertaining to foods that you eat, or like how does one go about training their mind to? Sorry if you guys see that, it's lightning and thundering here and it's like flashing, but how would one train themselves to begin to lucid dream that way?
So there are a few techniques. One of them is to create a habit of looking at your hands all throughout the day. Like every few hours, you look at your hands. And then when you're in a dream, you want to look at your hands. And if you try to look at your hands in a dream, they won't look right. Like they'll have 7 fingers instead of 5 or things like that. Or if you're in a dream and you think maybe it might be lucid, or it might be a dream, you realize you can try to look at words or like a phone screen and it will just look like gibberish. You won't be able to read it. So there's a lot of different techniques that are taught. Charlie Morley is an author that's written several books about it, including one called Dreaming Through Darkness. So Dreaming Through Darkness is all about shadow work that we do through our dreams. But I wouldn't recommend that somebody start there. Teaching yourself how to lucid dream is challenging and it takes time. And then one final thing I'll say about the techniques to do it is if you wake yourself up in the middle of the night and write down your dreams. So if you're in the habit of writing them down constantly, then that helps just bringing more awareness into your sleeping and your dreaming. But yeah, often it's waking yourself up in the middle of the night and then going back to sleep with the intention of having a lucid dream. And I remember I watched a YouTube video of a YouTuber that's tried to lucid dream for 30 days and it worked. And he had a few and it was pretty fascinating and interesting. So he goes into all the techniques and stuff as well.
Well, I've been sitting here trying to think about it for me the whole time you guys were kind of having this conversation. And I realized that I'm aware that my dreams are dreams. Does that make sense? My subconscious is aware that my conscience is aware that my subconscious is dreaming. Does that make sense? Like I'm watching the dream. I'm in it, but I'm also watching it. This is really bizarre for me to say it this way, but there have been many times that I've actually woken up from a dream and thought, oh shit, that was a really good dream. I want to get back to it. And I've actually been able to do that a handful of times, like get back in and really allow the dream to go to kind of where I wanted it to go. It's hard to explain, but I've done it a few times.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a skill that not a lot of people have. And if you have questions about life, your purpose, people beyond the living, like think about those questions before you go to bed and you can ask those questions in your dream.
Interesting. I love that.
So
But
how do
again,
you?
yeah.
Go
So
ahead.
again, I wouldn't recommend that people start shadow work with
Yeah.
their dreams. There's a lot we can do in our conscious present awareness to begin to work through it.
Love
Okay.
that.
Okay.
So what's one of the first steps?
Christine, you took the words out of my mouth. I was going
Sorry,
to say,
babe.
how would you feel we should begin? What are the steps?
Yeah. So first step is awareness. So it's asking yourself, right? What parts of me am I hiding, really? And then we have certain questions where we get more detailed about that. What do you dislike in other people? That's often a part of your shadow. What really annoys you about your parents, right? If you had a really angry dad, you might not allow yourself to ever express anger because you saw how volatile and damaging and hurtful it was. And while that's it's a coping mechanism and a compensation to not be angry at all, and it feels so much better than your dad's anger, but at the same time, we need to be able to express our anger sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So just an example of how we push these things away. It's sort of like the storage space in the house, right? You're like, oh, this old lamp, we'll just put it in the storage. Oh, this box of yearbooks, we'll just put it in storage. And like eventually you forget about it, but you might maybe need those things later on.
Yeah.
So then we go searching, right?
Yeah.
So inner child work is also really closely related to our shadow work because we have forgotten a lot of what we went through as a child. And so the 3 ways that we construct our shadow is by repressing, so pushing down thoughts, feelings, memories, worries, aspects of ourself. So repression and denial. So we, if we deny that we're a certain way, we push it down into the shadow. So suppression and repression and denial.
I wanted to have I did a reading for myself today, and a lot of what I pull a card in the morning to ask, what do I need to know? What do I need to keep in mind for the day? And one of the main one that I got this morning was that it is safe to express your feelings. And I think a lot of people don't know that it is safe. Well, maybe it isn't safe for some people. Maybe they're in a situation that it's not safe. But I think that for me, it was important to really accept that I've put myself in a place now where it is safe to express how I feel and what I think and, things like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm curious, as a matchmaker myself, how do you use this work with matchmaking? I'm just very curious, is that part of your intake, or how does that work to determine, like, yes, I can work with you and match you, or do you match based off of the shadow work that they've done? Or I'm very curious if you use that in matchmaking.
I was working as a matchmaker and now I'm not. Now I work with a matchmaking company as well as doing my own business, but I coach. So if I were just doing matchmaking, I probably wouldn't go into shadow work. I mean, it's hard enough to just find people and match them on their apparent compatibility, let alone all the hidden stuff. But I love this work with relationships and with dating, because it's like you go on a first date and you see the person's mask, you see the persona, you see what they want you to see, you see what they're presenting to you. And I always tell my clients, take your time, don't rush in. Just because somebody seems amazing when you first meet them, you don't really know them yet. Give it a few months, and vice versa. They might seem boring and not great and not very exciting. And then as you get to know them, you start to see that they're intelligent, they're kind, they show up for you. So it just takes quite a while to get to know people. And you have to know that you're not going to see their shadow for quite a while, but it's there. And more so, it's about your own shadow, Because if you don't know your own shadow qualities, then when you get deep enough into a relationship, that other person is going to see them and they're going to call you out on it. And you've been denying that part of yourself for so long that you don't even think it exists. So you get into this big fight because they see the truth and you are in denial. And so it's really important that we get to know our full self so that we can enter into a relationship knowing, hey, I'm not perfect. I have these other parts of me and these wounds. And, you know, the biggest, most important thing when it comes to the relationship is the communication. So everybody wants to heal their childhood wounds, or I think most people would. And depending on the level of trauma, it can take a while. So some people, you know, still have these tender parts and you need to tread lightly. And it's so important to be able to say, hey, my dad left when I was 4 and I've worked through a lot of my trauma. I'm aware of it, but I can sometimes get this abandonment wound. And just, if I don't hear from someone for a week, I might get really nervous. So please, if we could just have some regular conversation and just check in and let me know. Like, it's so important to set these boundaries, or I hate the word expectations, but guidelines, right? You're teaching this other person what you need. And it really takes a level of awareness, self-awareness, and maturity to even know that you have to do that, but then also the skills of being able to communicate that with someone without turning it into a fight.
I like that. I think that shadow work, like you said, can really arm a person with tools to help them in not only in their own life, but also when they're communicating with a partner or communicating with people in business, you know, just communication in general. I think it's really important. I had no idea what it was like until I started doing my own. And, you know, it's not comfortable, of course. And maybe somebody might be afraid of the trauma and think, oh, I don't want to live through that again. But quite frankly, you open the door, you clear out the crap and you address it. And then you don't have to hide it anymore. You don't have to fear it anymore. You don't have to, you know, too many people hide things and it makes for really a lot of problems in relationships.
Oh, yeah. I have a friend and she had a boyfriend for over a year and he had 2 girlfriends the whole time. Like thinking that both of the girls thought that he was monogamous. He would just say he's traveling and go back and forth. And this guy had so many bowel problems. It's like the mind-body connection is so real. When you're living a lie, your body revolts, right? Same thing. If you're people pleasing, you really need to do shadow work because your anger is in that shadow. Your feistiness, your ability to stand up for yourself, your justice is all in your shadow. And if you keep people pleasing, there's so much scientific evidence now that relates autoimmune disorders and different diseases with people that repress their feelings, don't stand up for themselves, go along with everything. So do it for yourself, do it for your sanity, do it for your relationships, do it for your health.
Yeah.
You know, I really am happy that you said this because this really triggered really important things for me. My mother, okay, let me start with my grandmother, who at 56 got a brain tumor and died very swiftly. And she had to suppress and hide a lot of things that were hidden in the family. And she was going through a lot of trauma and that none of us really knew about till later. And I know that that was why. My mother died at 68 because she was riddled with cancer. And I really, truly have always thought that her too, dying so young, was because she had so much trauma in her life. She never addressed it. She never spoke about it. She held that in and it ate her from the inside out. For years, I was afraid to get to 56. I'm 56.
Wow.
And for years, I was terrified that my mother got breast cancer at 56. My grandmother had a brain tumor at 56. So I was always afraid that shit was going to happen to me.
Yeah.
But, I realized as you were talking that in the back of my mind, I've always been saying things like, they drink soda, I drink water. They ate certain things that I don't. They smoked heavily, I didn't. They did not talk about their trauma, I do. And I've done the work, and I've released, and I've learned, and yeah, I'm not perfect. I still have a lot of fucking issues. But I've released that. I've opened that trunk. I've looked at the shadow stuff, and I'm aware of what I still need to work on and what I have accomplished. And I really, truly believe that I'm going to have a different health than they did as I progress through my 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, and 90s, and 100s.
Oh,
That's amazing.
I better be spry at 100 because I still want to enjoy things.
I mean, there's a lot of generational curses. And when you use the word curse, I think when I first heard that so long ago, I was like, oh, whatever, no one's cursing. But what it is it's just the trauma that's passed on. It's the stories, it's the unconscious memories, and it takes somebody really special to break that and to stop continuing the same pattern over and over.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not easy. I know I've made plenty of mistakes raising my girls. I did the best I could. I hope that they know that. I try not to carry my trauma into their life. I know I did. Which makes me feel really heartbroken.
Are you even a mom if you don't have mom guilt?
Yeah. We all have it. Yeah, that's a great question.
Such mom guilt. I have such mom guilt. It's terrible. But
me too.
Yeah,
that was my biggest. I remember the moment with my current partner, who I've been with for almost 6 years after my husband passed away. Before that, we were about 3 or 4 months into our relationship, and things were just getting really deep, and we were really getting to know each other, really seeing each other, really falling in love. And I remember this one night, I just could not stop crying, and it was just like pouring out this deep grief. And at first I wasn't quite sure where it was coming from. And then I realized it was this shame, because he's a parent. We both have kids the exact same age that were born in 2006, 2007, like beginning and end, a month apart. And I was young. I was 24. I was unprepared. I had a toxic partner and a toxic relationship. And I did a lot of things wrong raising my son when I was younger. And I felt so much shame about that, like real shame. Like I didn't want to talk to anyone about it. I didn't want to tell them what had happened. And in that moment with my partner, he actually was so soft and gentle and understanding and there for me that I was able to actually say that. And Brene Brown says that when we pull the shame out from the deep, dark places, because that's where it likes to hang out. It's like mold. It festers, it expands, it grows. But when we pull it out into the light, it doesn't have the same power. And I remember just feeling so much lighter, not because I was able to change the past or fix it, but just by acknowledging it and having somebody else acknowledge that, hey, you made a mistake, but it doesn't mean that you're a horrible person or you are a mistake.
I love that. Misty asked, can we release illness by clearing the negative out of ourselves? I'd love to hear your opinion on that, but my opinion is yes.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yes.
Caroline Myss, MYSS, she's an author that really speaks to how the energy system relates to your physical health and your thoughts and your emotions. And so if you're curious about that, I would highly recommend checking out Caroline Mace.
Caroline Mace.
She has meditations and exercises. I mean, I do some of the stuff that I've learned from her too in clearing the chakras and opening up, but it's like, it has to be deep enough that it reaches the subconscious. If you just kind of think, I'm going to think happy thoughts today, but deep down you're like, oh my God, I'm so terrified, and you're shaking and your body's like tensing up, but you're like, no, I'm thinking happy thoughts. Everything's fine. Like that kind of Band-Aid doesn't make the same kind of shift. And sometimes when we face our negative thoughts, we realize that we have to make a change in this world or else. Like if you're not happy in your relationship, no amount of sugarcoating it and thinking positively and affirmations are going to change the fact that you're actually, you know, the things in your life aren't working. So again, a lot of this starts with denial. So the first step of awareness of recognizing that, you know, I don't want to live in denial anymore. I'm going to face the truth. I'm going to pull the skeletons out. I'm going to let the chips fall where they may.
Love that. So Caroline MYSS.
Yes.
Okay. Definitely check that out. You know, I'm seeing a spine specialist right now because I had a car accident, like in a line of massive amount of car accidents. I live in Southern California. You can't go 26 years in California without having a dozen or so accidents. But he is all about working on the structure of your spine, which then will solve the other problems in my body. And he also is all about sealing the deal of that healing with specific yoga moves and mind clearing things. He's very progressive. It's amazing. But he was talking to me today and he said, I love how he said, your body is very, very much responding to this treatment. It's only been like 2 weeks. He's like, you're really responding very well. And I said, it's all because I've cleared my mind. I've gotten rid of the cobwebs. I've faced the traumas. I'm facing my problems and my what I've caused, and I'm seeing things in a better light. I manifest clearly, I think clearly, and I'm very positive. And it made me think immediately of a very good friend of mine who is very, very sick. And this person cannot get past certain things in their life. And they're holding on to a lot of trauma, and it's making them very, very sick. And that person has said to me many times, how have you changed so much? How have you grown so much? How are you so positive? And I said, because I do a little every day. If I notice the negative, I do something to remind myself that is not the negative thought I want, and I will immediately turn it around and rethink about it in a positive way. And it takes structure, it takes time, it takes discipline.
Yes.
Yeah, it takes a lot of discipline because it's difficult for a lot of people who suffer from anxiety or anxious thoughts or just being antsy and always thinking the worst is yet to come to switch that mindset into today's going to be a great day. I mean, it takes a lot of work to do that. It takes a lot to do that.
It takes brain training, you know.
Yeah.
The neurons that fire together, wire together, we get these programmed ways of reacting to things and thinking. And we often, so Christine, I love how you said, I do a little bit every day, because that's really what it takes to retrain your brain, because you have to catch yourself in those moments and bring it back. Because we're always one tiny step from either spiraling down or spiraling up, because the universe is like a spiral. That's just, you know, that's how things go. Yeah. So I've had to change a lot of that. I realized a few years ago when I was getting upset with myself, I was literally saying, I hate you to myself. Like I would have, if you asked me if I love myself, I would have said, yes, totally. I love myself. But I didn't realize that that's how I was actually treating myself. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, it takes every bit of myself sometimes. Like, I came home today, I had a great day. My daughter ordered something on Amazon that she needed today. It was supposed to arrive this morning. It did not. Stupid Amazon driver lied and said he tried to do it and he didn't.
Didn't.
So I had to call Amazon. Oh, my inner bitch came the fuck out. I was not happy. I would not let this woman continue to say the same thing over and over and over. And I just like, and then I get off the phone and I go to my daughter and I go, wow, I just became a real bitch in there. And then I came back in and I thought, well, that can continue to be how I react, or I can be conscientious of what I just fucking did and change my narrative next time, maybe be a little nicer. It wasn't her fucking fault. But also it made me think, well, that could keep me in a pissy mood, or I could just be fine and let it go.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
not
but
easy.
think about how hard it is to let things go, though, right? Like when you're in traffic and someone cuts you off or takes your parking space or whatever, like you could follow that person around the store because you knew they took the one space that you wanted. So think about how much work it takes to let those things go. It's tough. So training your brain is challenging and it takes work, and it also doesn't I don't it's not instant gratification, right? Like it's not like you're anxious one day and then the next day you have a positive thought and you're all good. I mean, it takes a lot of work to go through that.
And we're never going to be perfect. None of us. And that's, when we're talking, obviously I'm a coach for people's love life. I help them date, break up, get together, deepen their relationship, whatever part they're at. Nobody's ever going to be perfect. So we have to be able to accept those parts of ourselves, right? It's like the serenity prayer. Grant me the courage to change the things I can, the wisdom to accept the things I can't change, and the wisdom to know the difference. You get it.
Yeah.
Well, I think that people should understand. I hope this reaches people that really could use this type of work, that shadow work isn't just for people who are dating. Shadow work is for every human being who has survived to adulthood, because everybody has some form of trauma in their life, whether it's your divorce, whether it's, you always get cut off on the freeway. You got something going on. And if you are in any kind of relationship whatsoever, it's not just getting yourself in a place to be in a relationship with somebody, but to be in a better place with the person you're with. You know what I mean? So it's like, I really think that shadow work is really important. It's really about healing that inner person and, opening your own life up. And then you're in a better place, not only for yourself, but for the people you love.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Well said.
I agree. I did have one last question. Christine, you had just said something about, being older, being adults, going through all these things, etc. But would you suggest someone like 18, 19, 20-ish
do it right away?
to do the shadow work, or is it still like what would your suggestion be?
So I've told people, I said, I'm trying to heal my son's childhood wounds before he's fully an adult, because the first few years of his life were very chaotic and challenging. And then things really leveled out and got so much better. And now he lives a really good life. He's really happy, but I know that he's got this deep down stuff. So I don't know exactly. Let me give you that answer. I'm not quite sure. I think if someone feels ready for it and they want to do it, yes, but I don't think it's something that can be forced on someone. And the brain is still developing up until 24. Some teenagers are more mature than others. Often girls mature faster than boys. So all of those things I think would need to be considered. But one way also to work through this is through somatics. So sometimes, like the guy that's working on your spine, Christine, or somebody like I'm in a training certification right now that's all about somatic trauma therapy. And it's like the body keeps the score, right? Many of you have probably heard of that book or heard that phrase. Our traumas, even the ones we don't remember, get stuck in us. So sometimes we can do some healing work and trauma work through somatics, through breath work, through body movement, through energy work. And so we don't always have to dive into all of the thinking and talking about it and acknowledging it. And the risk is some trauma therapy will have you go back to the trauma and rewrite it. Like instead of getting raped, you imagine the initial part of it and then you beat them up, or you pull out a gun and a knife and like that's part of this trauma therapy that can be helpful, but we have to go carefully and make sure that you're never pushing somebody beyond a point that they want to go.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Now, really quick before we sign off, Country Corners Gazette said, should shadow work be done as you go? I think it just pertains to what Whitney was saying, is that as you go, as you grow, as you learn, healing yourself from the inside out is all about when you choose to do so. I personally think you should do it as often as possible. Breath work is amazing. Shadow work is amazing. Really working on yourself from the inside out is, I think, important.
Yeah.
So, yay. Happy to have you,
thank
Whitney.
you, Whitney. This was really enlightening and wonderful to have you. So thank you.
Yay.
Thank you.
I'm sorry we have to go so quickly, but hang on a second, Whitney. To all of you who come every week, thank you so much. We adore you all. We are here for you. Thank you for coming and doing comments and listening. And then we're going to be here again, same time, same place next week. It's just Jada and I. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of crap. So come back and join us. And until next week, keep this shit real.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share with your friends. Like and follow us on Instagram at 50 Shades of _bullshit and Facebook at 50 Shades of Bullshit. Thanks so much for listening, and we really hope to see you again next week.